Hey YouTubers, I'm back for day number 2 playing around with the TH400. Just kind of a little update of where I'm at so you guys don't get too far behind what I was trying to do here. First of all, I showed you guys yesterday this accumulator, rear accumulator, whatever they want to call it. The bolts that hold this to the case, I was absolutely sweating bullets that these bolts were going to strip out in that case. Apparently whoever rebuilt this transmission last time absolutely did not torque anything to spec or even come close to it, because 3 of these bolts I had to use a 3/8 breaker bar and tap it with a hammer to get them to break loose. Thank goodness none of them pulled the threads out with it. But something I was going to show you is once I pulled that assembly out of there, they double stacked the pressure springs under this rear accumulator. It had 3 check balls in it, which a lot of shift kits generally use anywhere from 2 to 5, I think. Some of the more tame street shift kits still use all 6 check balls, maybe enlarge the holes in your separator plate type of a deal. Pulled that loose, pulled this assembly out of this hole, and I'm keeping everything together. Went ahead and, I don't know if you guys saw that, but there's a bracket that bolts here. I went ahead and pulled the spring off of it, and then I thought about removing this parking pawl deal. I'm not even going to pull it out, so it gets to stay. I don't know if I showed you guys yesterday, but I went ahead and pulled out the pickup tube extension upgrade to kind of keep you from getting leaks around your pickup tube. Is always double O-ring your pickup tube that goes into your case. Loose got all the bolts out of the pump and pulled the pump out, and then pulled the, I think it's the forward clutch assembly out. You just come in right behind here. I just used a large screwdriver. You just carefully come in right behind here, and you can get right on the back side of your pump and just pop it a few times. And you may have to hit it with a dead blow out here a couple times, but you literally just poop, and once that O-ring seal pops loose, you just walk over there and it just pulls right out. You're gonna have this just setting in the case. You remove your bolts, pop it out from the inside, and it comes out as an assembly. It's got a little thrust washer there underneath the little sealing ring. This bolt for your center support in the TH400 is a 12.3/8 socket. You do have to have a pretty shallow walled socket to get into this little orifice. I had to go to the store today and buy another socket because the one I usually use, it wouldn't grab this bolt. And since this thing is all I could get it low, I'm gonna have to slightly grind the tip of it, which I hate, but I gotta get it off. So let's modify it. Right then, went over to the grinder and whittled off enough of that socket that it'll fit down in there, because those are only supposed to be tightened to about 20 to 25 foot-pounds. Probably about right. Thank goodness that sucker came out without any heartache, because those things can be a pain in the neck. Okay, just to kind of rehash what we've talked about so far, you take out your 6 to 8 pump bolts, come in through here, you can pry that thing loose, and you can also take a dead blow, kind of pop it out of the case, wiggle, boom, set down, no mystery there. The forward clutch assembly, kind of like that. Because see, I don't, you have to sit here and line up every one of them clutch discs, direct drum, to be able to get this back in all the way. But I just want to show you, once you pull your pump out, this is what your torque converter rides on. Checking that surface for the bearing. But you basically grab it, wiggle it, boom. That's an assembly. Some people refer that to a module that has a clutch pack inside of it. We've got our center support bolt, because that bolt that went through your valve body, it holds that center support in there. So this that out of there. This is your direct drum. Here's your front band. Whew. Has a pretty, it's in good shape. You could reuse that. That's not in bad shape. It's still got material left on it. It's not burned. There's nothing weird going on. Okay guys, here's a little tool hack for removing these case snap ring, because you're going to have a snap ring for this next module or assembly, and you may or may not have like what they call a case saver. It's like a spacer snap ring or behind this assembly that helps protect the case. You want to make this job as easy as you can. You have to have a tool that's bent like this. Whether you take and heat up and modify a large screwdriver, I just happen to have this that I modified a long time ago. All you need to do is make sure that the tip of it can fit between the lugs in your case, and you have that L shape so that you can grab them rings. Let me show you. It's hard to do without getting in front of the camera. Just showing you that if you have the right tool with this L, or not shape, but bent shape on the end, you're going to help yourself and give yourself a lot less headaches trying to get them rings. Basically what I did was I put this in, probably about two or three lugs from the end, pried it up, got a hold of it, then I just start pulling, kind of pulling up and clockwise, and it'll just, boom, it'll just pop out. The edge always goes up. This is your, what they call it, your intermediate clutch pack. But you'll always have like a big, what they call a pressure plate. That's what sits on top of your clutch packs. Your intermediates, always, I'm not going to say always, let's say generally, as far as my experience, you'll get 3 discs. Let me see if it's a wave. Yeah, this is a wave plate, but you can see where the wave plates almost always end up getting hot spots, because a wave plate is just as it sounds. It's not 100% flat. That waved design helps kind of absorb shock. Debatable subject on whether you should reuse those wave plates. There's arguments both ways whether you should or should not use the wave plates. So I guess you're just going to have to, you know, use your own discretion on that. And we will dig a little bit deeper into this transmission. Okay guys, this next module or piece that needs to be removed, this has a, see if you guys can see that. That is another snap ring. This snap ring has to be installed bevel out. Even if it's installed properly, this one snap ring is so hard to get out, especially if you don't have a special tool with like a hook on the bottom of it. You will drive yourself crazy trying to get this snap ring out using screwdrivers. Okay guys, that ended up being a fight. I had to go ahead and put it in a headlock and choke it out. Put it in with the bevel towards you and try to line it up with that little stud right there. Somebody had put it in upside down. That makes an already frustrating snap ring twice as hard to get out. A little closer. This is coming out. This is another module. I'm trying to pull it out in sections. Did have what they refer to as a case saver. Basically, this just sets in this groove right here. It just kind of saves your case from any abrupt pressures or hits. Really thin. You can't mistake it for your other snap ring, but literally just goes in there during your assembly to kind of hold everything from hitting just having it rub or hit the bare aluminum. Pull out this rear assembly or module. Once you pull that, you just grab it and wiggle it. It'll pull forward. At your main support or thrust washer that goes where it's got the 3 tabs. Gets held by the case. An upgrade, which I'm probably going to do, to the Turbo 400 is you switch it over to a Turbo 350 Torrington bearing. So basically what you'll do is that rear case bushing you will drive it to where it sticks out of the case. I'll have to find the exact measurement, but you leave the rear bushing sticking out a certain amount. Then you just set a Torrington roller bearing over that rear bushing, and that is an upgrade. The Turbo 400 to switch from just a solid steel protector or thrust plate to a true roller bearing back there. And then of course you'll have to measure and adjust all your front half and rear half clearances, because that's your fore and aft. You want to get that around 5 thousandths or 4 to 5 thousandths if you can. So anyway, there is the disassembled Turbo 400. The only thing left in the case is that reverse band. And now that this thing's out of there, you just got to pull it down and pop right out. I mean, that's all there is to it, guys. It's literally little modules of parts that you rebuild and then put back into the stupid transmission. Literally the only thing I'm still trying to figure out, because I don't currently own an arbor press, I just have to modify something so that I can use my drill press pressing some rings. And other than that, you don't really need any special tools to rebuild a Turbo 400, guys. It comes out in modules. Work it module to module to module. You'll do all those modules. They'll all have their own clearances, your specs, and everything that you're going to use to rebuild each module to this thing. And once everything is within spec, you can do air checks on part of them. Then you start taking those modules that you've rebuilt and you just start putting them back in the case. It's not rocket science, guys. Anybody can do this, I promise you. But anyway, stay tuned. I'm going to dig into this thing because I want to verify the drum I have. I want to find the rag this thing came with or was rebuilt with. This is the disassembly. We're done with that part. Hopefully I covered at least enough so that you guys can slowly get your transmission pulled apart. Like I said, there's no real special tools. There's a couple of modified tools that you can use to make it easier, but anybody can do this. I promise you, the Turbo 400 is a very, very easy transmission to rebuild. Stay tuned. We're going to go through these parts, make sure everything looks good, figure out what new parts we need to order so we can get everything cleaned up and get it put back together. Thanks again for watching, guys. Please like, subscribe, and share.